Hello everyone, welcome to KZGN News. Tonight we'll bring you news about the Republican debate last night, a power failure, gas prices, and much more.
From the Rademacher Hills to Bee Mountain and the mighty Sierras, Ridgecrest to Inyokern and China Lake, this is your news for the Indian Wells Valley with the KZGN News crew.
Thanks for joining us for the news. I'm Tom Winnick. Here's news affecting Ridgecrest in the Indian Wells Valley. First, a quick update about the power failure we had this morning. Did anybody of you notice that? In case you weren't affected, parts of Ridgecrest had a power failure this morning. We called SE and got this information. About 6:27 a.m. this morning, the power went out in some areas of Ridgecrest, which included College Heights. The outage affected 2,100 homes, which is a large area. While they still don't have an actual cause, they called it a system lockout, which actually is a system failure of some kind. They stated the power was restored almost to everybody by almost 9 o'clock this morning. So if there's any other outages, please let SCE know. Okay, next we want to bring you an update about the manhunt in the Kelso Valley. The Kern County Sheriff's Department, with all the supporting agencies, are still pressing to find this bad guy, with more tactical units arriving today. Again, if you're planning to travel into the Kelso Valley area, be aware of the ongoing manhunt. Don't contact any strangers. Again, the suspect they are looking for is described as a white male, 30 to 35 years old, 5 foot 8 inches tall, 160 pounds, long brown hair, blue eyes, wearing a green bandana, corduroy hat, olive green shirt, and pants. He was described as being dirty in appearance with sun-weathered skin. He is also considered armed and dangerous. If you see any suspicious persons over there, call the Kern County Sheriff's Office right away. Well, did you see the Republican debate last evening? I got to see the evening one, but missed the early one. From all reports, it seems Carly Fiorina won the first debate hands down. I wish I'd seen that one. The late debate, all eyes were on Donald Trump to see how the current frontrunner would do. All the pundits were spun up in anticipation. Well, for the most part, everyone performed fairly well. We finally got our first chance to hear from all of them on their positions on issues. However, I saw the questions posed by the questioners rather unusual often. Some questions were even embarrassing or accusatory in content. It seemed at times most of the questions were about the candidates' past records versus what they are going to do if elected. The first question of the night was the biggie. The questioner asked for any candidate on stage that would consider a third-party run and not support the eventual nominee. They asked them to raise their hand. Trump was the only one to raise his hand. The crowd showed their dislike of him doing that. When asked again, his answer was that he intended to be the Republican nominee and that he would back another nominee as long as he felt the nominee was a good choice. Personally, I feel he did it for the attention. He wants to be the main person all the pundits will talk about after the debate, and so that's how he did it. And it worked. All the pundits and all the stations are talking about it. I even turned into some liberal-leaning cable channels, and they are all talking about him too. All candidates responded fairly well, even under that type of questioning. I would certainly like to see the same style questions to the Democrat candidates as well. I know I could come up with a book of character questions I'd like to ask Hillary Clinton. Well, back to this debate. Pundits this morning are saying the candidates that seem to have created the most reaction are Trump, Carson, Cruz, Bush, Rubio, and Huckabee. A couple of them got into minor slams back and forth, and they all handled them very well. Another funny statement was from Christie to Paul about him blowing hot air. Trump and Bush seemed to get along well. Huckabee was very clever in some of his statements. Carson was elegant and seemed right on target with a lot of his statements. Cruz stuck out as probably the next best candidate willing to fight the establishment after Trump. Bush attempted to clarify his illegal immigrant stance. Still seemed vague, though. Walker kept talking about the candidate that has taken on unions and beat them to save Wisconsin's economy. Rubio was just kind of okay with no bombs. Kasich was on home turf, so he was well received by the audience, but he answered questions quite well. We need to learn more about these candidates. We got to learn some things about them. A notable answer from Cruz was that he would rescind all of President Obama's illegal executive orders on his first day in office. A question posed to Trump was about his past well-publicized support of liberal candidates and his obvious flips from liberal beliefs from just a few years ago to his supposed conservative positions now. His answer was straight off the cuff. He said he's a businessman. He supports all kinds of politicians. It's just part of business. And as far as the position flips, he admitted he has flipped on some things. He says that what he was believed was okay at that time, he has had things happen in his life that caused him to change his positions, and he has gotten more educated on other things that also resulted in changing a position. He said we have to learn every day. It's okay to learn and change for the better. That earned considerable applause from the audience. But to be fair, all the candidates had their good moments. So that's a quick recap of the first presidential candidate debate. I still feel the questioning was rather odd and very attacking, intending to embarrass the candidate, versus the usual questions in debates that are softball questions. However, if they take the same tactic in future debates, that will be fine. In news from the Kern County Fire Department in Golden Hills, just before 7 p.m. yesterday evening, the Kern County Fire Department received a call for an injured mountain biker. Crews were given a vague location, but were able to locate the 15-year-old male after hiking approximately a half-mile down a ravine. The biker had tumbled approximately 25 feet and complained of severe mid-back pain. Fortunately, he was wearing a helmet when he crashed. Given the remoteness of the location, the incident commander opted to utilize Kern County Fire Helicopter 408 for its hoist rescue. Hiking the patient out would have required extensive manpower and possibly exacerbated the back injury. The helicopter arrived in just 6 minutes from its Keene helibase. The patient was immobilized on a backboard, placed in a Stokes basket, and hoisted into the helicopter. He was transferred to a Hall ambulance crew in Tehachapi Airport. His name is withheld as a minor. He is expected to survive his injuries and make a full recovery. In news about the president's deal with Iran over nuclear arms, we have heard that all Republicans are fighting this deal, citing it does more harm than good. The White House has threatened a veto if Congress sends him a disapproval bill. A couple days ago, Congressman McCarthy, in an exclusive interview with KZGN-TV, stated that he hoped they could muster enough votes to overcome a potential veto if the Congress votes against the deal. To override the president's veto, Republicans need a few Democrats to join them in fighting this deal. The AP is reporting that New York Senator Chuck Schumer, the chamber's third-ranking Democrat, plans to announce his opposition to the nuclear deal negotiated by the U.S., Iran, and 5 world powers. Schumer's move will come a day after New Hampshire Democrat Senator Gene Shahan and Schumer's fellow New York Senator Kirsten Gillibrand announced their support for the deal. That momentum is blunted by Schumer's pending announcement. Backers of the deal had hoped that if Schumer decided to oppose the deal, he would hold off until the last minute. Schumer's support of a war footing over diplomacy puts him at odds with the Democratic caucus he intends to lead next term, though it is consistent with his position he has long taken as the soon-to-be leader of his party in the Senate. Schumer's decision to directly fight President Barack Obama on the biggest foreign policy achievement of his presidency is a bold move. Schumer has long been more hawkish on foreign policy than some of his fellow Democrats. Now some news about a proposed new gun control law. The AP is reporting that, backed by the National Rifle Association, the Senate's #2 Republican leader introduced legislation Wednesday that would reward states for sending more information about residents with serious mental problems to the federal background check system for firearms purchases. The bill, by Senator John Cornyn of Texas, would also bolster programs for treating mentally ill people and handling confrontations with them. It comes after last month's killing in a Louisiana movie theater by a gunman with mental problems, and he put a fresh spotlight on holes in the background check system and programs for people with psychological difficulties. Cornyn's legislation is far more limited than Senate measure expanding background check requirements that Republicans and the NRA helped defeat 2 years ago. It's also narrower than a bill a top Senate Democrat announced this week. Still, it represents a rare effort by a leading Republican to propose modest steps that could curb some firearms purchases. Cornyn has an A+ rating for his gun rights voting record from the NRA, which long has fought gun restrictions, yet backs some bills limiting the ability of mentally troubled people to buy firearms. Cornyn said that while past bills have been designed to drive a political wedge on this issue, he was aimed at helping people with mental health issues to hopefully preempt them from committing an act of violence. Jennifer Baker, spokeswoman for NRA Legislative Affairs, said the bill took meaningful steps toward fixing the system and making our communities safer. Gun control advocates criticized the measure for doing little to curb firearms purchases. Dan Gross, president of the Brady Campaign to Prevent Gun Violence, said it does nothing to prevent dangerous people from purchasing guns, online or at gun shows. But by law, federal licensed gun dealers must conduct background checks on firearms purchasers. Among those barred from buying guns are people legally determined to be mentally defective and those who have been committed to mental institutions. But states are not required to send those records to the background check system, which is run by the FBI, and its database is spotty. And we have the same problem here in California. Medical professionals are not required and will not volunteer their records to the state, citing doctor-patient confidentiality. So we'll see how this one develops. In our continued investigation of sanctuary cities, last week we reported on all the cities in California that are sanctuary cities. Now here's a look at the nation. Here's a map of the nation showing all the cities, counties, and even states. Yes, there are 2 sanctuary states, North Dakota and Rhode Island. North Dakota kind of surprises me. I can't help but notice the clusters, especially around the Northwest, the Midwest, Central West, the East Coast, and of course, California. More than 200 cities, counties, and states across the United States are considered sanctuaries. They protect criminal aliens from deportation by refusing to comply with ICE detainers or otherwise impede open communication and information exchanges between their employees or officers and federal immigration agents. These state and local jurisdictions have policies, laws, executive orders, or regulations to this effect. These sanctuary policies obstruct federal law authorizing U.S. immigration and customs enforcement to administratively deport illegal aliens without seeking criminal warrants or convictions from federal, state, or local courts. Although federal regulations plainly require cooperation, the federal government has never sued nor sanctioned a sanctuary jurisdiction, nor denied federal funds. In contrast, the Obama administration has even hostile to cities that do help ICE. They made it difficult for states and localities which choose to aid in enforcing immigration laws, in some cases going so far as to sue and to have such assistance prohibited. In addition, in November 2014, policy memorandum signed by Homeland Security Secretary, the administration reversed long-standing policies by directing ICE agents not to issue detainers except in rare circumstances and explicitly allowing sanctuaries to ignore ICE efforts to take custody of deportable criminal aliens. This has become a major issue for the upcoming presidential campaign. All Republican candidates have voiced their displeasure with sanctuary cities, and the Democrats see nothing wrong with the way it is. Victims wonder why no one worries about their rights. So the saga of coddling criminals continues. In news from the Ridgecrest Animal Shelter, they want to make sure everyone knows about their current adoption special offer. Adoption fees for cats and dogs at the Ridgecrest Animal Shelter are greatly reduced. Cats and kittens, and boy do they have kittens, are free. Yes, they're free. And dogs are $45 while funds last. That includes all costs. It includes the spay and neuter, current vaccinations, a microchip, a license for dogs, and a health exam. This is a fantastic offer. If you've been thinking about adding a new member to the family, this is a great way to do it. Adoption application must be approved. Sponsored by the Indian Wells Valley Humane Society. Go out to the Ridgecrest Animal Shelter out on County Line Road. They're open 5 days per week, Tuesday through Saturday. Now on KZGN's continuous effort to provide news and information on our local gas prices, here are today's gas prices. Well, in last Wednesday's report, I noticed that prices were not going down but steady. Right now, the whole area we monitor is having slightly lowering prices. As of this morning, Ridgecrest is ranging from $3.59 to $3.99. Lancaster is ranging from $3.35 to $4.13, the Valley area from $3.63 to $3.85, and the Bishop area $3.85 to $3.99. We have one station coming in at the $3.59 figure and 5 stations at the $3.63 figure. So for the first time in a while, gas in Ridgecrest isn't the cheapest. I hope the stations in our area catch up with the slowly lowering gas prices around us. Tune in with us Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays for updates. We at KZGN always suggest you shop locally to support our local economy. Remember, when you pay any sales tax out of town, you're helping those cities pave their streets instead of here. Stay tuned for weather and sports when we come back. Thanks for staying with us. Let's go to Keith for the weather.
Thank you, Tom. The National Weather Service is forecasting a risk of severe thunderstorms Friday afternoon and evening across portions of the Great Basin, Central Plains, and the Southeast, and a couple tornadoes are possible over the Central Plains. Temperatures across the nation: Carolina came in at 81, Ohio 75, Georgia 82, Arkansas 87, North Texas 87, Colorado 81, Utah 71, Arizona 93, and Los Angeles at 70. For our local forecast here in the IWV, tonight mostly clear with a low around 68, west wind 15 to 20 miles per hour with gusts as high as 30. Saturday, sunny with a high near 98, south-southwest wind 5 miles per hour. Saturday night, mostly clear with a low around 69, east-southeast wind 5 miles per hour. On Sunday, it'll be sunny with a high near 99, northwest wind 5 miles per hour. Sunday night, mostly clear with a low around 70, west wind 5 miles per hour. And on Monday, it will be sunny with a high near 99, west wind 5 miles per hour. And that is your weekend forecast. Now back to Tom and the rest of your KZGN News.
Thanks, Keith. Let's go to Tom Eck with sports.
And a very pleasant Friday afternoon to everyone. Let's start with Major League Baseball. The Dodgers beat the Phillies on Thursday 10-8 in Philadelphia. The Dodgers got 15 hits. Zach Greinke got the win, but he didn't pitch very well at all. In fact, he gave up 5 runs before he recorded his first out in the first inning. However, he made it up with his bat. He went 3 for 3 and hit a 2-run home run, which helped the Dodgers win the game. Zach Greinke saw his ERA go up to a 1.71. Well, if you're a baseball fan, you know that's plenty good anyway, up from a 1.48. Batting average now, 220. Handles the bat pretty well. Dodgers will be in Pittsburgh this weekend for 3. Washington beats Arizona. They trail the Mets by a game in the East. Milwaukee over San Diego. The Padres now 5 under. Detroit over Kansas City. Detroit making a little run. They're 2 games under right now. And St. Louis blanks Cincinnati. The Cardinals the best record in all of Major League Baseball. The Angels were off on Thursday. They've got 3 with Baltimore. Andrew Haney will take the mound tonight at the Big A. He's 5-1 with a 9.7 ERA. He's a rookie, and he's had a great rookie season so far. They brought him up a few months ago, and he has really done well. He was at Salt Lake before that. The Angels, a little bit lucky on Wednesday. They were down 3-1 going into the 9th inning. They were gifted a couple walks and a wild pitch, and they end up beating Cleveland 4-3. That's a big swing because the Angels now only 2 back of Houston. Standings in the American League East, the Yankees over the Jays, the Central, the Royals, comfortable over the Twins by 9 games. Houston over the Angels. Also, don't forget the Rangers. I did, but all of a sudden now, here they come. The Rangers only trail the Angels by 3 games and Houston by 5 games. They swept Houston this past week. All right, over in the National League, the Mets have a lead over Washington. The Mets have come out of nowhere. They're the hottest team in baseball. St. Louis has a comfortable 6-game lead over Pittsburgh, and the Dodgers, as mentioned, a couple games over San Francisco. Should be an interesting August when we get going here and also into September. All right, a couple of local sports note. This past week over at Saracoso, the annual basketball camp went real well. Had about 45 participants there. Worked on all the basic fundamental skills, and this was Camp 2, the first camp in July. And this from Anthony Barnes. Anthony, the cross-country coach, formerly of Burroughs High School. He's the athletic director over at Murray Junior High, and he'll be coaching and starting a cross-country team over at Murray. And he says this, and I'll just read it verbatim. Murray is going to begin a cross-country team. All Murray School students are invited to join the school cross-country team. And he says if you saw the movie McFarland, USA, and like to run, this is just for you. Even if you're not sure about running, please join us. We'll have an all-important information intro meeting at Saracoso College on the track at Saracoso at 5 o'clock Monday, August 10th. So this coming Monday, 5 o'clock at the track, if you're a Murray School student interested in cross country. Practices will start Wednesday, which is first day of school, and they'll go from 2:30 to 4 o'clock. So if you're interested, you could probably email Anthony Barnes over at Murray. But cross country is a 2-mile course, junior high level, and a very fun team sport. Again, first year for Murray Junior High School. Anthony Barnes, a long time high school track coach over at Burroughs. That's your sports for this Friday afternoon. Have a good weekend. I'm Tom Heck for KZGN.
So that's the news for today. All of us at KZGN-TV know you have a choice in what you watch for your news. We all thank you for choosing KZGN-TV, Ridgecrest's only locally owned community TV station. And stay with us for Ridgecrest Talk coming up next.